Oto buta sakati ko ni ano mo ni lolo sakati ko ni Finkara. Lihat sakati ko mai. Ina no sakati ko mali kala pa no mo ni Vuvale. O madal tek sakati ko ni ko na bitali nga ni Vuvale kina Vuvale. Kala ba sakati na bika sa may tebe ko sa ba kayang bakit sa malibukan. Basi sakati ko niya nga mo de bo di sabas ka tu na kada ba din. Tara nak kana ba yan lele bumbaw na kana yan nalay. Para lawa mo sa sakati ko na bibili tek na maten tu. Kalau sakati ko no mo ni lolo na mata kada en kuwa. Ito sa nilay lesat. Kamu nanga saya buat tek sakati ko ni don sebu. Kalau suai sakati ko, lali sakati ko na no sebu ti ko na lolo baturang. Imbas sakati man ko wala.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and Minister for Defence of Australia, the Honourable Richard Marles. I do acknowledge the Head of Mission and Sajay, Mr. John Williams, and the delegation that are here today. I also acknowledge the presence of the Permanent Secretary for Defence and National Security and Policing, the Commander RFMF, and senior officers of the RFMF. I also acknowledge all the government officials and members of the media, and ladies and gentlemen, Bulbunaka, and very good afternoon to you all. At the outset, I wish to reiterate my words of welcome to the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Defence of Australia, the Honourable Richard Marles. Again, thank you, sir, for taking the time to visit Fiji today in what I believe will be the first of your many visits to Fiji. Also wish to warmly welcome your delegation who are also present here today. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me much pleasure to officiate in the signing of the Status of Force Agreement between Fiji and Australia. I believe it is also quite fitting that we hosted this signing event at Black Rock Peacekeeping and HADR camp, as it is perhaps a significant reminder and demonstration of our close and strong partnership that is underpinned by our Vuvale Partnership. Ladies and gentlemen, the Vuvale Partnership has only strengthened our continuing strong relations in the area of defense and security. The Vuvale Partnership exemplifies the strong family bonds between Fiji and Australia, and the signing of this agreement marks a new height of security cooperation between our two nations. Our security forces train and deploy together in our homes and across the region. This agreement reflects the increased cooperation between our forces to address traditional and non-traditional security threats, including climate change, humanitarian crises, and disasters. Fiji and Australia's security cooperation forms the bedrock of our Vuvale Partnership and helps maintain regional stability, resilience, and peace. This agreement, which we will execute today, will greatly enhance our defense cooperation program, which continues to grow from strength to strength. It will also facilitate greater exchanges of personnel between Fiji and Australia, which will enhance the capacity and capability development ambitions of the RFMF, but will also strengthen the interoperability between the RFMF and the Australian Defence Forces. It covers practical issues, including immigration and customs, arrangements for visiting forces to wear uniforms while in other country, and the criminal and civil jurisdiction over visiting forces while in the other country. As Minister responsible for Defence and a former career military officer, the significance of the agreement that will be executed today is something I believe will greatly elevate the professionalism and standard of service delivery of the RFMF in their conduct of the constitutional role they are charged with. In concluding, I wish to reiterate my most profound appreciation and thanks to the Government of Australia, particularly to you, the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, and your Department of Defence and the Australian Defence Forces personnel for your continued friendship, leadership, and familial relations with Fiji. Indeed, the signing of today's Status of Forces Agreement is one that signifies your respective dedication and commitment to Fiji. I wish you all, Honourable Richard Marles and the rest of your Australian Vuvale, our Australian Vuvale, present here today, an enjoyable time in Fiji and a safe return home tomorrow. Thank you very much, and vinagawaleo.
Well, could I start by thanking Minister Seruiratu for those very warm comments and acknowledge you and say what a thrill it is to be back here in Fiji on what is a really significant occasion in the signing of the Status of Forces Agreement. Can I acknowledge the Permanent Secretary of the Defence Force, the Commander of the RFMS and Australia's Charge d'Affaires. It's great to have all of you here at this moment as well. We live in a very challenging strategic time where the strategic circumstances around the world are as precarious as they've been at any point since the end of the Second World War, and none of how we deal with that is particularly obvious. And we also meet at a time where the impact of climate change is meaning that we're seeing more weather events in our region, which in turn places a pressure on our defence forces as we respond to those disasters through the provision of humanitarian assistance and disaster response. What's clear about all of that is that now is a time to be close to friends, and we don't have closer friends than Fiji. The Vuvale Declaration is really about the spirit of the friendship which exists between our two nations. And it is what has underpinned a very productive set of conversations that we've had today, which is looking at every opportunity that we can find to see Australian servicemen and women work alongside Fijian servicemen and women in a spirit of partnership, where in fact both countries gain enormous advantage out of the opportunities and the experiences which come with the sharing and development of capability. The centrepiece of today's meeting is the signing today of the Status of Forces Agreement between our two countries. That is a rare agreement amongst the community of nations. You don't have many of these. And it speaks to how close our relationship is with Fiji. And as the Minister has described, what this agreement will do is really facilitate a much closer working relationship between our two defence forces in each other's countries, so that can happen as smoothly as possible and therefore as often as possible. And in the process, building interoperability and building capability between our two countries. It is a very, very significant step in the relationship between our two defence forces, and as such it's a very significant step in the relationship between our two countries, and I feel very honoured with Minister Seruiratu to be signing the Status of Forces Agreement today. It has been an enormous pleasure to spend the morning with you, and we've got another day of meetings ahead in what has, as I've described, been a very productive set of conversations. And we see these conversations, along with this agreement, as emblematic of a growing and deepening relationship between Australia and Fiji, which has really never been closer than it is right now. Thank you.
Cover here or you store your fruits?
Beautiful. I love that from Marles, which is it's an indigenous cooperative in Marles, in Geelong.
Oh.
It's like it's a modern thing, but the indigenous motives, but it is made by a cooperative, and all the benefit goes to the Aboriginal community.
Thank you once again. Good night.